Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of TGIM. I'm your host, Nicole Crone, and I am leaning into trusting the process right now because I just recorded this episode the first time around and it's 43 minutes long, yet it will not upload with audio. And I double checked everything to make sure that my audio is on. Looks like we're good to go. So I'm redoing this. I hope to make it a whole lot shorter than 45 minutes. And the irony of this is that I want to talk about bending time, bending reality, manifesting what it is that you desire. So maybe the first go of this, I was rambling too much, and there's a lesson to just get to the point, be concise about what it is I want to talk about. I do want to talk about how you bend reality, how you bend time. Before you think I've completely went off the deep end of how can you manipulate time and what does that even mean to bend this reality, I'm going to talk to you all about how you can shift the way you perceive the world and how it responds to you and how you respond to the events, the outside circumstances that are happening in your life. You're going to get to feel like you can live a completely different life without asking for anyone's permission. You get to do this all on your own. And I want you to think about, have you ever experienced that moment in time or that feeling where you wake up and things just suddenly feel different? It feels like overnight something has shifted. Or have you ever met the right person at the right time or ever had an opportunity that seemed like it was in the snap of a moment and everything in your life began to shift? That is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about bending time, bending reality, having a quantum leap, and using this to manifest ultimately better, faster, with more ease, removing resistance. So I want to cover three main topics here today. I'll weave in a little bit of storytelling, and then I'm going to leave you with a question so that you can think about how you might be slowing yourself down or living more on the linear timeline, and how you can think about approaching life a little bit differently. Okay, so the first thing that I really want to anchor in is a fundamental truth. You need to believe this as truth, or else it's not going to work for you. And so how do we believe something as true? We create new thoughts on repeat. And when we create new thoughts on repeat, then we get new beliefs. When we have new beliefs, we take new actions. When we take new actions, our reality reflects that. And then all of a sudden, our reality reflects that initial thought that we've put on repeat. And then we're like, oh, that is true. Oh, that did happen. So there's a fundamental truth here that I need you to anchor in and believe. And that is that your inner world creates your outer world. Everything that you see and experience and taste and touch and feel in your outside circumstances, in the world around you, is a reflection of the thoughts and the feelings and the energy and the frequency that you have going on within you. Oftentimes, it's a little bit of a delay. It's like we're experiencing something right now that maybe we thought or we felt not necessarily a moment ago, and it catches up to us. And then other times, the manifestation is so fast, we feel it immediately. But in order for you to be able to think about even bending time, bending reality, manifesting in a different way, I need you to understand that your externals are a reflection of how you feel inside. And most people have this backwards. Do you ever think that you need to change your outside circumstances first in order for your internal world to feel different? It's not true. So if you want to live in a different home, have a different job, work with different clients, have different money in your bank account because you think that's going to make you feel a certain way, it is so much more powerful to believe that you tapping into that feeling state of however you think that's going to make you feel first. And then you turn up your magnetism and your frequency. And then all of a sudden, those circumstances externally start to magnetize to you at rapid speed. And this is where, if you were to follow a linear timeline, and let's just say you were following life within your societal standards, and societal standards would say, okay, you're going to go to school when you're 5, go to school for 12 years, most likely get some post-secondary education afterwards, or go right into a job, work that job until you're probably like 65, be secure, build up your savings, your pension, have your benefits, there's safety there. And then when you're 65, make sure that you manage that money well because it needs to last you until you're like 95. And then maybe you can start to live a little bit. You're going to only take time off when somebody else tells you can take time off. You're always going to have a cap on what you can earn. And there's going to be resistance and there is going to be walls and parameters. Now, the majority of the world is okay with that. The majority of the world is okay with that. But for those of you listening who are like, I would like to live a different life because I'd like to feel a different way. I'd like to feel more financially abundant. I would like to express my creativity more. I would like to tap more into my freedom. Then you are not going to work on the timeline that society follows. You are going to shift timelines. You are going to work with the quantum field. And the way that you're going to do this is you are going to find ways to access those feeling states first. So if you are looking for a creative outlet and you have a 9-to-5, or even your own business isn't giving that to you right now, rather than waiting for that creative outlet to come, can you start to do that creative outlet now? So maybe that goes back to something you did as a kid that you enjoyed. Maybe it's coloring, maybe it's pottery, maybe it's making jewelry, maybe it's playing outside, like whatever that might be. Tap into that now so that creative expression is within you, because that feeling within you it's like a dial on a radio. It has a frequency, it has a magnetism. And when you start to tap into that and you feel more and more elevated and you feel more and more free and you feel more and more great, then that's when the opportunities to have the better clients, the better business, more money, the creative outlets, the abundance of opportunities, they start to come your way after you take control of how you feel internally first. So in order to do this, in order to start to work from within, to have your external world reflect outside, you need to be so crystal clear on how you want to feel. So crystal clear on how you want to feel. I think about entrepreneurs and I think about people who have no desire to be an entrepreneur. And I would say the biggest difference that I see between those two types of people, and again, one's not right or wrong. It's just, I think some people are wired one way and some people are wired another way. I think ultimately as human beings, we all want freedom and we all want security. And I think that entrepreneurs place freedom first and then security second. They're willing to be risky. They're willing to put it on the line. They're willing to try and build a business for 1, 2, 3, 5 years, knowing that if it doesn't work out, then their plan B would be to go do what everybody else's plan A is, like be in a job you don't love for 40 years. But they're willing to put a little bit of risk on the line in order to tap into that sense of freedom. Now, am I saying that people that work 9-to-5s or they are an employee for somebody else, that they don't want freedom? Absolutely not. Everybody wants freedom. But I would wager a bet that those who want to have their own business but aren't quite taking the leap yet, it's because within they value security just slightly more than freedom. Do entrepreneurs want security? Absolutely. We build our own security into our business. We want freedom and we want to feel secure. We want to feel safe. We want to feel stable. And do those in a 9-to-5 want to feel safe and secure and stable? Absolutely. Especially those of you who have told me, like, I just can't leave my 9-to-5 because of my benefits, because of my pension, because of my healthcare, whatever it is. And do they also want freedom? For sure. But one takes first place, one takes precedent. And so if you are seeking freedom or you are seeking security, know that those external feelings can come from being an entrepreneur. They can come from being employed by somebody else, but they can also come from within. You can choose to wake up today, wake up tomorrow, and choose to do different things in your lifestyle, within your habits, that allow you to tap more into a sense of freedom, more into a sense of security. The best part about all of this really is that the world responds to your energy. The outside world responds to your energy. People, places, experiences, and things respond to your energy. One of the greatest compliments that I'm ever given is when somebody says, "You have awesome energy. Your energy is great. I love how I feel when I'm around you." I'm like, yes, that is such a high compliment. And I work day in and day out on being in control of my energy, of how I feel and how I make others feel, and the opportunities that I draw into my life. And don't be fooled here. Like, this is not wishful thinking. This is quantum physics. Your consciousness is literally collapsing possibilities into your reality to come into this timeline so that you can experience it now rather than in a distant future that you have made up in your mind that you can only feel this certain way when you achieve this certain thing, and that's down the road. It's not now. So basically, the first point that I want to send home to you is that your external world will not change until you change internally. It will not change until you change internally. So you've got to have some sort of internal practice. I say this to our clients all of the time. What are you doing to meditate, to visualize, to journal, to be reflective, to be introspective? Are you doing tapping? Are you doing breath work? What are you doing to be mindful and have awareness around your thoughts and your feelings, your energy? Your energy is your thoughts and your feelings. Your thoughts create your feelings create your thoughts. It's a loop, and you are in control of it. No one else, nothing else, only you. Okay, and so the second thing that I think is really important here that I think lots of people get hung up on is that time is not linear. I know that I just shared like how the majority of society thinks it's linear with the way that we're brought up and the structure of how we're raised and the school system and then job and then pension and so on and so forth, but it doesn't have to be that way. Also, lots of us have been conditioned, myself included, that things take time, or that you have to put in years of struggle or decades of trying something. And that's not true. That's only one way of experiencing your life. That's only one way of experiencing time, but it's not the only way. It's certainly not the only way. And a great example that I often share with people when we're talking about time and when they're like, oh, but things feel like it's taking so long. I want you to recall the first time that you, like, say you're in love with somebody right now. Maybe not the first time you fell in love, but could be like the person that you are in a relationship with right now. And I want you to think about that new love stage when you meet somebody and everything else gets taken off your calendar because you want to spend all day with them, all night with them. You're up talking, you're getting to know one another. Time does not exist when you are newly in love. It is an illusion. You don't care if you get little sleep. You don't care how you feel going to work the next day. Your friends know that you're a little MIA for the moment because you're like falling in love with this new person and getting to know them. And it feels like you can't get enough time. It's, oh my gosh, it's already time for bed, and you wish there was more time. And then also at the same time, it feels like you get to know somebody in such a short amount of time because the quality of the time and your energy of that time is so different than how you choose to experience other time in your life. That's just such an easy example for most people to tap into, is think about when you first fell in love, how time did not matter and it felt like it was escaping you. It was just like you could not get enough of getting to know that person. And this is only because you're just operating with a different relationship to time. It's unconscious. Like, you're not consciously like, I think I'm going to shift how I feel about time right now while I'm with this new person. It's so unconscious, and 95% of our day is run by our unconscious mind, our subconscious mind. So just know that it is so powerful how you can choose to perceive time differently. If you can do it unconsciously, you can absolutely do it consciously. In the realm of consciousness and energy, time is fluid. It doesn't stop. It doesn't have a stop time and a start time. It is ongoing. It is so fluid. It is flowy. And you can experience massive shifts and moments. You can heal decades of something traumatic or heartbreaking, heart aching in a moment in time. You might hear something in a meditation. You might experience something that someone else said to you. You might have an epiphany, an aha moment. You might experience a breakthrough that felt like it took you years and years to dissolve. Again, your relationship with time is just different. Know that in a moment in time, you could attract your dream partner, your dream business, your dream opportunities. And it's not because you got lucky. I don't believe in luck. But it's because you are aligning with the version of you that knows within this already exists, which I think is so cool. We're going to get to that. How this is just a time in your timeline that already exists. Okay, so here's a powerful example of a shift that I personally like to use. And the more you can get in the habit of asking yourself this question, the more and more you'll be able to become consciously aware of how you're feeling and shift it when it's not working for you. So whenever you catch yourself saying, I want this to happen, when is this going to happen? Why hasn't this happened yet? Like something along those lines that's like needy or impatient. I want you to say to yourself, this already exists and I'm simply aligning with it. This already exists in my timeline and I'm simply aligning with it. Your dream business, it already exists somewhere on your timeline. Your dream love relationship with your dream partner, it already exists somewhere on your timeline. Your dream lifestyle with the abundance of money and resources and opportunities that you have available to you, it exists somewhere on a timeline. You just haven't gotten there yet. And your role is not to create this from scratch. Please do not try and create your vision from scratch. You don't need to do that. Your vision, you've been here before. You know what it is that you want. You've made vision boards, you've done visualizations, you've done journaling exercises, you've talked about your goals and your dreams and your big visions with somebody. You do not need to create this from scratch. You need to become the version of yourself that naturally lives in that reality. Who would you be if you were in love with that dream person and had that ideal relationship? Who would you be if you had the business of your dreams? Who would you be if every day your lifestyle was what you envision or dream it up to be? Who would you be? How would she or he feel? When you tap into that and you choose to act from that place now, that's going to be your magnetism. That's going to be your frequency. That's going to be your magnet. That's when you're going to be like, oh, they just came into my life. Oh, that opportunity just appeared. It was there. It was existing in the quantum realm. It's just waiting for you to energetically align to it. Right now, like you're down here in this want, impatient, scarcity mindset, not enough, it's not happening fast enough. And you're saying that you want something over here that has a high vibration and you're operating from down here. I'm like doing this visual. I don't know if you can see, but you're operating from down here and what you want is up here and those don't match. So you don't want to bring your desires down to meet you at scarcity. You want to bring your vibrational set point up to how you know you would feel when that desire is met. So it's time again for you to do the inner work first. And this is why I think visualization is so powerful and not in the way that most people think it is. In an NLP way, I like to see it as visualization is not accessing something that is brand new. It's not accessing something that's brand new. And you're not seeing something from a two-dimensional place. When I take people through an NLP visualization, I get them to access it from a three-dimensional place so that they see themselves in the visualization. And also they're seeing something that has already exists on their future timeline. And now they're just remembering it. It's just a remembering. You can remember stuff from your past, even though your past it's not now. And you can remember stuff from your future, even though your future is not now. And it's been scientifically proven that we can only be right here, right now. So it all exists on a timeline. And you can choose to keep falling into the memories of the past, or you could choose to tap into the memories of the future and call in the memories from the future, your desires, your dreams, your goals, and feel them now so that you can experience them now. And when you approach your manifestation this way, you're going to stop feeling desperate. You're going to stop feeling impatient. You're going to stop feeling in lack because you're not waiting for something to happen. You're simply allowing yourself to experience what already is. And the paradox to this is that this is when rapid manifestation occurs. Again, when you are so aligned, you're so at ease, you're not resisting anything, you are not in lack, you are not in impatience, you are a magnet, you are aligned, boom, it happens. And the third thing that I want to make a point of, so you can think about how you can be in control of creating your reality and not a victim to it, is having the belief and the knowing that you are a conscious co-creator, whether that is with your higher self, universe, God, source, whatever it is that you believe in, but you do have to believe that there's something bigger than you. If you're walking around believing that it's like just you and on this spinning ball in the universe and that there's not something bigger at play here, it's going to be a little bit hard to tap into a bigger vision. But if you can surrender to there's a larger consciousness here, a consciousness we're all connected to, that's going to make making your manifestations not only easier, but a lot more fun. So if you are playing victim or you are surrounding yourself with people who live in victim mentality, that is literally the opposite of being a co-creator with the universe. And when you are a co-creator with the universe, I don't mean that you cause every single thing that happens to you, but I do believe you have the power to choose how you respond, your interpretation of it, and your next move in every single situation when you know you are in control. And I want to share a little story about the summer of 2020 when I realized that if I took control of how I was feeling and stopped making it about everybody else and stopped making excuses and essentially stopped being a victim, my whole entire life changed. And the summer of 2020, when my ex and I broke up, my ex before Jeff, who I'm now married to, when we broke up, I had this like inner voice, like something whisper in my ear and say, Nicole, you can't say this is another dud, this is another loser, this is another guy who didn't have ambition. You can't say, oh, every relationship has ended in like guys cheating or not being able to commit to a future together. The little voice inside of my head said, wow, you're the common denominator here. What about you has magnetized all of these relationships? And it was the biggest wake-up call for me because I wasn't attracting the type of man that I wanted to see reflected in my external reality. I was attracting the man that I felt I was worthy of in my internal reality. And this was huge for me. I got to work on doing so much internal work and took radical responsibility for my life and my relationships and fell so in love with my life and who I am and how I want to show up as a partner that I knew when I met my next person that they would be so in love with who I am because I was so in love with the version of myself that I worked towards being. And then I met Jeff, and Jeff and I clicked like this. I scripted him, so a form of manifestation. And when we met, we instantly knew that we would be each other's life partners. He also had been doing the work on himself to attract a life partner that would show up and meet him with the level of love that he wanted to give, that he wasn't receiving in previous relationships. He had a long, hard look at himself of why was he magnetizing all of these type of women. And from the two of us in separate worlds, on separate timelines, committing to do the work, to be elevated, to be in joy, to be in love, to be in appreciation and in gratitude when we met at the same frequency. I met Jeff when my internal world was for love was so high. So of course I attracted somebody who had so much love to give and who was so magnetically a match to who I am. I wasn't going to attract a man anymore that would cheat on me. I was not going to attract a man anymore who could not show up and be committed to a relationship. I wasn't going to attract a man who didn't have ambition. I was attracting these men because I had my internal compass, my internal world and standard set for that. And until I took, again, radical responsibility and a hard look at what am I doing to be the common denominator here, nothing would have changed. So I need everybody to know that your external world is a reflection of your internal world. Things don't have to move slow. When I met Jeff, it was like, boom, we were engaged right away, lived together, married, we're in love. Like we knew on our very first date, we were planning our honeymoon. Like we just knew. So that didn't need time. And then the third point here is don't be a victim. Stop being a victim. Stop hanging around people who are victims. Stop letting people with low vibrational frequency and energy bring you down. Remember, you are the co-creator of your life. You choose every person, place, experience, and thing, and you get to respond to every single circumstance that you felt like you were not in choice of choosing. You know, when you start to feel like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening now? Can you reframe that to what is here for me to learn? What can I take away from this? What is happening for me? I remember that was something I had to keep asking myself that summer of 2020. Rather than why is this happening to me? What is happening for me? It's a choice to think different thoughts so that you can have different beliefs, so that you can take different actions, so that you can have a different reality reflected back to you. And another thing I noticed when I started to take responsibility and switch from being like, woe is me into what's available for me is that things actually resolve much quicker. Like, you don't stay in resentment, you forgive faster, you don't hold a grudge. Like, I do not hold on to anything these days. I'm just like, okay, cool, process it, feel it, move on. Like, that time or that place or that person, that situation doesn't need to have a hold on me. And yours do not need to have a hold on you. And a big thing that I realized is that force doesn't work. Force doesn't work. I wasn't going to change my life through force. And the shift in perspective bends your reality because you're no longer at the mercy of your external circumstances. I was no longer, oh my gosh, I'm never going to meet like the man of my dreams or be in love with somebody or build a life and a family with them. I did feel that way for a long time. But then when I realized I'm not a victim to my external circumstances, I get to create what I want from within. I get to truly dial up my magnetism and shift my timeline and match it to the right person at the right time. That is so powerful. It's almost like a surfer. A surfer has no control over the waves. Nobody has control over the waves. Mother Nature, she's out there, she's doing her thing, and you cannot control the waves. But what a surfer can do is master the art of riding the wave. That's the art. Mastering the art of riding the wave that you have no control over. The waves are still there. If you want to use this in your own life, the challenges are there. The unexpected turn of events are still there. The ups and downs of life are still there, but your relation to them is completely transformed. You feel well equipped. You feel well prepared to move through life with your internal compass dialed to exactly how it is that you want to feel. So a little bit shorter than 45 minutes, but not really too much shorter. I really want to talk about this because I've been having some like just fun conversations about it in my personal life. And I love talking about obviously NLP and quantum physics and manifestation. And I want you to know that it is all available for you too. And so I'm going to leave you with a question, just like I said at the beginning. And it's a powerful one that you can contemplate beyond listening to this episode. Write it down, do whatever you need to do, talk it through with a friend, journal on it, meditate on it, whatever it is. But I really want you to reflect on this question. If you truly believed that you could bend reality with your consciousness, and if you knew that time was fluid and anything was possible, what would you choose to experience in your life right now? What would you choose to experience in your life right now? And more importantly, what's stopping you from choosing that right now? Why aren't you choosing that already? Why are you believing that to choose this thing, you have to wait for some sort of external circumstance when you know you can bend time, you can bend reality, that you are the co-creator of your life? So what is it that you would choose to experience right now? And then ask yourself what you're doing about that. Okay, so sit with that question. As always, thank you for being here. We'll be back later this week with Biz Besties. You know, what would be really helpful is if you've not yet left a rating and review on My Line Purpose Podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, that's the first thing, and then scroll down to the bottom when you find My Line Purpose Podcast, and it will say leave a rating and review. We'd love if you could do that for us. It helps our listenership, it helps keeping us grow. And then as always, share this with a friend. My intention is to create these episodes. We're 400 and almost 70 episodes in. I choose to do this every single week because I want more and more people to know how incredibly powerful they are and how amazing manifestation is, and that you can build the business and the life of your dreams. And so if there's somebody who you think would love to hear this episode today, please share it with them. And you could also share on your Instagram and tag My Line Purpose. We always love that. We'll be back later this week.